and welcome back, my fairies. I am Matsuyorific, and we are back with episode 8 of Pokemon Horizons. So, in the last episode, it was a bit of a slower episode, but we also kind of needed that too. Last episode, we got to see Roy and Liko learning a little bit more about Pokemon battles. So, hopefully from now on, they won't just be spamming their attacks left and right, and they'll actually be able to start looking into employing strategies. We also get to somewhat meet Dot, who is the crew's informist, and is heavily implied to be the Poketuber that Liko follows. They pretty much did confirm it at the end of the episode, but at this point it's not quote-unquote confirmed. So, yeah, it's basically confirmed, though, that Dot is the Poketuber that Liko follows and enjoys watching. And we also learned that Rayquaza is in the Paldea region. So, hopefully we actually get to the Paldea region this episode, so we can meet Liko's grandmother and learn a bit more about what the heck is going on. So, without further ado, I'm gonna go watch the episode, and I will be right back. Alright, so we're not in Paldea yet, but we did get a really important episode. It's a character building episode, which is always great. So, this episode focuses a bit more on trying to befriend Dot, and also 100% confirms now that she is the Poketuber. Gurulin, I think was her name. The one that Liko watches a lot. So, the episode starts off with Freed and Murdoch acting a bit suspiciously. So they basically have... Sorry, I dropped something. So basically we see them sneaking around in the kitchen, and there's this cupboard of sweets that they're sneaking around eating. And Roy, oh my goodness. Roy finds out about them. Why do I keep swapping the first letters of Roy and Liko? Blech. So Roy finds out about them. And the next day, the crew meets up for breakfast, and everyone starts getting suspicious of them because they've noticed that inventory is low for ingredients that you used to make sweets with. And, everyone's just immediately looking at Murdoch, and then Freed's like, hey, come on now, is it really that big of a deal? I mean, let's just move on. And then it's like, well, Freed is suspicious too. I'm starting to learn everybody's names, you guys. But they decide that they need to go shopping, and so they do rock, paper, scissors to see who gets to stay, or has to stay, while everyone else gets to go. And Roy loses, but then he begs Liko to trade with him, and I love this bit. So Liko didn't even need any convincing. She's just like, yeah, I do want to stay because Gurulin's doing a live stream later that I really want to catch. But she manages to stick it out a little bit just so she could get a little something extra from it. Roy is like, yeah, if you agree, I'll tell you a secret. And she's like, okay, sure, what's the secret? And then he tells her about the sweets cupboard. Well, turns out that she couldn't actually find anything in there because Alcremie was in there, and it just covered her with cream. So she's like, okay, well, I'll just go do all the chores and stuff. She did the chores first, and then she goes into that cabinet. But then she gets a call from Murdoch, who says, hey, I made boxed lunches for everyone, so feel free to eat. And there's 3 of them, one for Liko, one for the elder that likes to sit on the edge of the boat, who I don't know why he couldn't watch the boat, maybe because he's an elder, he's just sort of like there. But there's one for each of them, and then there's a third one, which the elder tells Liko is probably for Dot. So Liko goes and takes it to Dot, and they managed to talk a little bit. She remembers, like, when Sprigatito opens the little Poké door, at the bottom. It's kind of like a doggy door, but for Pokemon. She overhears some of the music from Gurulin's channel. So she's like, oh, that's right. I remember hearing that the other day. Are you a fan of Gurulin? And she actually hears Dot speak for the first time, telling her to go away. She's like, oh my gosh, she spoke. This has to be a test to see how much of a fan I am. So she starts talking about, how much she loves Gurulin and how much Gurulin has even helped her out with loving Pokemon more and more, which gets Dot like extra flustered, and she starts talking even more, but just desperate to get Liko to leave. And then that's when Liko gets the notification that the stream is supposed to be starting, but Gurulin's not streaming yet. Oh well, she's normally late anyways. Hey, why don't we watch it together? Go away! So she finally goes off to her room, and Dot's able to get dressed and start her live stream. And Liko sends in a letter for Gurulin to read and get advice on. Normally, Gurulin accepts letters to give advice about Pokemon. And we even get a letter from one of the explorers. I don't remember his name, but he's the Rhydon trainer. And he's frustrated because I'm not that great of a trader, and, I keep getting beat, and, just the other day I got beat by an Ember with my Rhydon. And it's like, yeah, your Pokemon is a ground and rock type. So she gives him some battle advice, which means that, she just gave advice to the enemy. Yeah, that's gonna be fun. Fortunately, they're not gonna be battling him for a while. But, anyways, then she gets Liko's letter, and Liko screams so loud, just fangirling, that, Gurulin read my letter, that it could be heard all the way through the ship and even through Dot's soundproof door. So she gets startled hearing Liko screaming like that. And then she actually winds up giving advice, because Liko's letter is asking about advice for how she can get to know Dot. So Gurulin tells her to, treat it like a Pokemon battle. Try a different setting. Just keep going. Keep trying. And it's questionable. Like, she definitely suspected that it was from Liko about her, but she still manages to give sound advice. It's like, you just gave advice for how these guys can break down your walls and become friends with you. These people that you're finding annoying, that you apparently don't want to be friends with. But, so they manage to, she reads her letter and everything. Roy, while he's out with Freed and the others, finds this polishing rag that this guy is selling. He uses it to shine up a Spoink's Pearl, and he's being very aggressive with his sales. It's like, dude, as somebody who works in sales and gets pretty good numbers, let me tell you that one of the most important things is knowing how to take no for an answer. Customers appreciate the fact that you know how to accept the word no, because that tells the customer that they're not just a dollar sign to you, that they're actual people. So if you treat people like people, then they're going to be a lot more receptive to whatever it is you're selling. So yeah, but he obviously has not learned that lesson. So he's just like really aggressive. And Roy is like, look, I really don't want that, but do you know anything about Rayquaza? Has there been any Rayquaza sightings lately? And he's like, oh, Rayquaza's really popular. There was that one lady the other day who was asking about it too, which gets Roy excited that he might know something. And Freed too, so he's like, well, if you tell me, if you buy this cloth, I'll tell you what I know. So it's like, fine, I'll buy it. Just tell us what you know. And it turns out he knew nothing, but he drew them in with knowledge that it was a black Rayquaza. So at the very least, they learned that someone else is looking for that black Rayquaza. So they at least get some information. So they head back to the ship, And also before that, Roy actually gets to have a battle with a Spearow, and he manages to beat the Spearow. So he goes back and tells Liko about the battle, and they're in front of Dot's door, and they're having this spirited, lively conversation. Dot basically just tells them to go away, which then gets Roy even more excited because Dot actually did speak. So they start talking about, like, this cloth that he got, and he asks Dot, what she's into, and she tells them that she's interested in rare treasures, stuff that nobody's seen before. And meanwhile, Roy and Liko are holding on to their treasures, the ancient Pokeball and the pendant. And it's like, they might be a bit closer than you think. Yeah, that was pretty much it. They got a little bit closer. They actually managed to talk to Dot. She does tell them to get lost again, but they're getting a bit closer. So, yeah. I thought this was a really good episode. It was nice to get to know Dot a little bit. So, yeah, looking forward to learning a bit more about her. I also want to take a moment to talk about her design. I absolutely love her design, especially her hair. I noticed at the end of the episode that her hair resembles a cherub that is still closed up because it's nighttime, which I think very much is good representation of Dot's character as someone who has yet to bloom, but once she does, she will be a very beautiful flower. So I'm really looking forward to seeing her bloom, and hopefully you guys are as well. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe for more videos from me. We do all sorts of fun stuff on this channel, including playing video games, we do art, and I'll sometimes talk about cartoons and anime. So if you enjoy this stuff, then be sure to ring that bell icon, never miss a video. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, I hope you all have a very magical